Welcome back to today's episode of A Practical Spanish Grammar for U.S. Border Patrol Officers. We're going to start out on page 11, Lesson 2, Parts of Speech. Now, parts of speech are pretty much the same in English as they are in Spanish, with obvious differences. There are 8 parts of speech in both languages: nouns, pronouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections. We're going to start with nouns, the most obvious and most common of all of the things that we're going to be talking about today. Now, a noun is the name of a person, place, or thing. It's just something you call stuff. Okay? A proper noun is the name of a person, a particular person, a place, or thing. And these particular persons, places, or things are always capitalized in both languages. So we have like the name John, which in Spanish would be Juan. And I'm not going to go through each and every one of these except for pronunciation. I will do that and repeat after me, please. Juan, Carlos, Enrique, Pablo, Mexico, Maria, Ana, Luisa, the Texas town of El Paso, and Texas. Now, the reason I want you to repeat these after me is to just get your tongue and your lips and your whole mouth working in Spanish. So, a common noun is a common name for persons, places, or things that are part of the same class or kind. So, say you want to talk about the boy, muchacho. Okay, you're not going to talk about Juan in particular, or Charles in particular, or Henry in particular. You're just going to talk about the boy, muchacho. Year, año. Don't ever forget the little tilde over the N in año, because it has an entirely different meaning that we'll discuss later. Week, semana. River, rio. Visa, visa. Town, pueblo. Book, libro. Passport. Now, this is one word that you can feel free to memorize. You're going to be using this frequently. You'll be saying it often in your career, for your entire career. Pasaporte. Passport. Pasaporte. Month. Mes. Bridge. Puente. Now, you'll notice that these are not capitalized in either language. Now, you would only capitalize like Rio if it was the Rio Bravo or something of that nature. In English, there are 3 genders. We have masculine, feminine, and neuter. Neuter being it. In Spanish, all nouns are either masculine or feminine. There is no neuter. So, generally speaking, nouns ending in O are going to be masculine. Nouns ending in A are feminine. The names of male beings are masculine. Names of female beings are feminine. The boy. El muchacho. It terminates in an O, which gives you a hint that it's masculine. And you have the male article el. The girl. Quite the opposite. It terminates in the vowel a. It carries the article la, which tells you that, hey, that's feminine. El estado, masculine. La pluma, the pen, feminine. El oro, the gold, masculine because it ends in an O. Okay, this is a pretty good example. Male, female, brother, sister. The brother, el, carries the masculine article el. Hermano, and it ends in O. The sister, la hermana, carries a la article and ends in a. La hermana. The money, el dinero. The silver, la plata. The table, la mesa. So are you seeing the trend here? Ends in an O, masculine, male article. Ends in an A, it's feminine, feminine article. There are some exceptions to the rule above, such as la mano, the hand, el mapa, the map, or el día, the day. Most of these words that do this are derivative from foreign languages, and it's just something that you have to memorize as you go through things. Nothing hard about it, nothing at all. Just a little bit of extra memorization. Nouns not ending in O or A should be memorized with the definite article. Okay, so you have the paper, el papel. It ends in a consonant, not an O or an A. So you just have to memorize that el goes with papel. The month, el mes. It doesn't end in O or A. So you just have to remember that L with it. Just like the pencil, el lápiz. El lápiz. And the foot, el pie. It ends in a vowel, but it's not an O or an A. So, el pie. The following endings are generally feminine or masculine, respectively. Okay, so you have, at the end of a word, you might have sion, dad, tad, umbre, or tud. And if you see those, you can guess that it is feminine. Okay, and conversely, if they're generally masculine, if they end in on, el, al, ente, like presidente, or ador, like matador, or just or. Okay, flipping over to page 12. Nouns ending in a vowel form, they're plurals by adding s. And those ending in a consonant form, they're plurals by adding es. Those ending in z, change the z to c before adding es. Okay, that sounds all complicated and stuff, but basically all you're saying is, okay, you have a noun, it ends in an O, okay, all you do is add s. So nouns ending in a vowel form their plurals by adding s. Those ending in a consonant form their vowels by adding es. So you have papel. It ends in a consonant, so it doesn't end in O or A. So papel, papeles. You add an es. That's all you do. Papeles. Okay, and words that end in Z, this is a little tricky, but nothing hard about it. Change the Z to a C before adding ES. So it's basically the same rule as papeles, doctores. Okay, you have a consonant at the end, you add ES. But in this case, you change the Z to a C before you add the ES. Okay, like luz, luces, CES, LUZ, luz, LUCES. Change the Z to a C, add ES. Is there anything hard about that? Really? Come on. Okay, lapis. There you have that Z again. So you're going to change that Z to a C. You're going to add ES. You have lapices. And you have the same emphasis as before. That did not change. Okay, the masculine plural of nouns and of adjectives used as nouns may include both male and female beings when they denote rank or relation. Los niños can mean either the children, the boy and the girl, the boys and the girls, or the boys. Should there be any ambiguity in meaning, the noun may be repeated. El niño y la niña, the boy and the girl. And this applies to other classes of nouns as well. Los abuelos, the grandparents. You can say el abuelo y la abuela, the male grandfather, the female grandmother, but it's so much easier just to say los abuelos, the grandparents. And los padres. Padre, of course, is the word for father, madre for mother. But to say the parents, los padres, you just throw them all in one group. Los alumnos. These can be male students, female students, or both. Los alumnos, the students. Repeat, okay? Los alumnos. Los viejos, the old people. It doesn't distinguish between old men, old women. It's just a bunch of old people. Los jóvenes, the young people. They're not saying young men, they're not saying young women. They're saying los jóvenes, like a group of young people. Los jóvenes. Los niños, the children. That's the example used in our text here. Los hermanos, the brothers and sisters. You could say los hermanos y las hermanas, but it's so handy to say los hermanos. Los tíos, the uncle and aunt. Los pobres, the poor people. Los ricos, the rich people. Okay, let's finish off this lesson with pronouns, and then for next time we'll move on to adjectives. We don't want to make this boring for you guys. I know this first part where we go over syllabification and pronunciation and the alphabet and all that stuff can just bore you to tears, but this is the building blocks that all of your Spanish learning is going to be based upon. So make sure you get this down. If you have to go back and review a previous lesson, hey guys, they're free. So feel free to look at them as many times as it takes for it to sink in. Okay, so pronouns. What is a pronoun? It is a word that takes the place of or is used instead of a noun. Listed below are the English and Spanish subject pronouns with the persons and numbers. Now, all persons means is who you're referring to, and the number is whether it's singular, just one, or plural, more than one. Okay, so the first person singular is yo, meaning I. Second person singular. This is all going to fit into the grand scheme of things here shortly. All of these things will just all of a sudden snap into place. You're not going to believe how everything just says. You'll just be looking at this and you'll say, oh, that's how that works. Okay, so second person singular, tú, meaning you, familiar form. Third person singular, él, meaning he. Also third person singular, feminine, ella, meaning she. Third person singular, usted, meaning you singular. Okay, so first person plural, nosotros, we. Second person plural, vosotros. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, unless you're traveling through Spain or Argentina, you will probably never hear vosotros. So you may feel free to erase this from your valuable memory bank space. Just leave that out. Don't worry about it. Okay, third person plural, ellos. More than one, they. Third person plural, ellas, feminine, they. And third person plural, ustedes, you. Now trust me, guys, this is all going to just snap into place here pretty soon. Don't get discouraged. Don't worry about it. Okay, I know this can be boring, but like I said, building blocks. In Spanish, there are two ways of saying you in the singular. Tú is called a familiar form and is used in speaking to members of one's family, intimate friends, servants, and animals. And as you progress in your career, you'll probably be calling a lot of your prisoners by that pronoun, tú. This form is used with the second person form of the verb. Usted and its plural, ustedes, are called the formal or polite form. BD and BDS are the abbreviations for usted and ustedes. In writing, they may be written in the abbreviated form or written out completely. Either way, your preference. This form is derived from vuestra merced and vuestras mercedes, meaning your grace. It's just a high manner of addressing people. And this form is used only with a third person of the verb. The plural form of you is always ustedes. There's no tú form of ustedes. Okay, so we're going to wrap this lesson up at this point. Like I said, feel free to go back and review the lessons that you've already seen. The more you look at them, the more stuff starts to fit into place and just kind of snap together. Okay, next lesson we'll move on to adjectives. I don't want to burn you guys out on one particular lesson. So that's it for today.